Hello, Rana, and hello. I think I should call you Lady Power Star. Is that what you're being called these days?
Even you said it.
Director Sukumar is like don't call her Sai Pallavi anymore. Please call her Lady Power Star.
He was just kind and he said it. I think they just grabbed onto that. It's nothing like that.
But it is true, right? I mean, like you're the name on you're the face of the film and all that kind of stuff. So own it, please.
That's because
own it.
No, that's because the film is on her and I happen to play her. So
Yeah.
I just got lucky with that. Otherwise, I
That's
would
good.
not know.
That's good. Plus, you have people holding umbrellas for you.
Oh,
This is
that's because he's a man with a huge heart.
yeah. So
Yes or no?
good,
I sent
good.
him a video this morning where I'm just, lost in the world. I'm waving at people. He's there behind doing the bouncers. He's like, okay.
He did that?
Yeah,
All right.
and then he's like, okay, now you're done.
Yeah,
Come,
she's
I'll
too
get
precious.
you.
We need to protect actors like these.
Yes. I'm going to begin with your knowledge of Virata Parvam of the Mahabharata. Which year does the Virata Parvam actually start, the chapter in the exile of the Pandavas?
13th or 14th? Something like
13th.
that.
I'll take that.
Huh?
13th.
13th.
I think let's have the quiz just to
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
I
So,
think
and
of
for
one.
you, I have like, what are the Pandavas and Draupadi doing in the court of Virat?
They're hiding. They're in disguise.
Right, but what are
yeah.
their respective disguises?
There's one who teaches dance. I
Okay.
think it's
Arjuna
Arjuna.
teaches dance.
And
That's
Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah,
question
right.
for her. Okay.
that's all I know. So now you need to help me with
So
the rest
Bhima
of
is
the
a
ones.
cook. What are the others? Can't recall.
my God, this
What's
is like
Draupadi up to?
Draupadi is the queen's maid.
The queen's maid.
yeah.
Draupadi
Yeah.
is the queen's maid.
Yeah, Naklans are the horses
horsemen.
and cow tenders.
Yeah.
I'm answering the question.
No,
Yeah.
But
so-
this Virata Parvam is very different.
Yeah.
I know.
What happened in
So
the
it's like-
Mahabharata.
yeah. So let's talk about this Virata Parvam. So why the title?
So one is the filmmaker Venu is a very poetic filmmaker. So every piece that he writes, whether it's a dialogue, whether it's a decision of a title, has extreme references of many things. And why Virata Parvam is, so we just spoke about how it is from the Mahabharata, and there were people in hiding.
Right.
There was some form of guerrilla warfare because times that they had to come out, they were coming out in disguises, fighting. There was a lot of politics going on in that chapter of the Mahabharata.
Right.
So, it's pretty much like that in the 90s in these regions.
Right.
It's
It's set in Telangana.
set in Telangana, so politics at a high, police, Naxals, the conflicts between them were consistent, the division of upper class, lower class. I'm saying there's too much that was happening at that point. And it's a girl who entered the Virata Parvam, which means it's a world like that she has entered. So that's why Virata Parvam.
Right. So you enter his world.
I guess. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Without giving too much
no,
away.
I was maybe destined to go that way, and it so happened that.
You're talking
while-
about you or your character?
My character.
Oh, okay.
Not me. I'm just seated here, and I think the guy needs to come to me.
Yeah. It's always a process doing a movie with a new co-star, right? It's like it takes a bit of getting each other's rhythms right and so on and so forth. For you, what was it like with Rana? And for you, what was it like with the Power Star?
Woo,
I like
it
this.
took me a second.
So-
No, I think if you're very honest to what you want out of the script and you don't have any other thought other than working for the script that you have in hand and to bring the best out, I think you don't have to convince or talk.
don't have to buy?
I think it's a given where you're already there for that work and you just connect immediately.
No, but what if there are two acting styles that are like a little different? You hear of
It
that all
doesn't
the
matter.
time.
You try to
Matter.
improvise, you try to inculcate, you try to get used to that new emotion, you perform better, I think. If you already imagine how he's going to perform, it
Right.
might be the same reaction that I've already anticipated. So sometimes a surprise is always good.
It's that there is a certain emotion to this story, and all the actors that come there are connected to that very set emotion, and everybody catches their rhythm within that. And what's the job? No, it's about, now this is a film that's extremely real. So our job is to be those people and try to recreate that moment as if it just really happened, right? And that's so whatever style that actor follows, whether he or she is an actor of method, he or she takes a lot of rehearsal, doesn't really matter, because ultimately once the camera rolls, you're all in one reality, which is yours.
Right. And so the syncing happened right from day one, or did it take a little while?
Oh
I
no.
think it was just
Day zero in
the
some
day
ways.
one. And
See, I
a
think-
few days when he was there in the set, it helped me so much because there are a lot of things that I would believe in and I might want, but it's very difficult wherein it comes from Rana Garu's place. And especially towards the climax, I think there was a place where a lot of people didn't agree on few things, and he had to put his foot down and he says, no, I want this for that character. I think in so many ways I'm very thankful for him and the team for made it possible.
You know, every film, like, you know, despite its long story or whatever it is, there is one thing that kind of draws you in, right? It's like, what was that for you and what was that for you in this film?
Heaviness and depth in, see, you've seen love stories before, you've seen mother-daughter relationships, father-son relationships, mother-son relationships. But something that's heightened to an extreme level,
Right.
where it's extremely heavy, each one has sacrifices of their own, each one makes extremes, and it's a world that everything is not stable at all. It's an unstable government, it's an unstable place, it's social injustice. So between all of that, any emotion that you tell is going to be extremely heightened. And I think once I heard the first draft of this story from Venu, it was that heaviness that was with me.
Wow.
So I think that really meant, that's the reason I'm in it.
Right. And you?
The honesty with which it was written, and like how he mentioned that the characters are not the normal way, because this woman doesn't think the normal way that a girl her age should imagine. So imagine everybody else having to put up with that kind of a thought process or ideologies that she has. And when we normally think about the father's relationship or anyone else, you try to put it under the same tag where this is how loving the father will be. But here you see how he convinces himself in ways, or how he's influenced her life, be it his mother's character, Zaina Vibe Garu, or each one's lives are written in a very new color that we haven't, I think, explored before. Or even if it has, I think it's been limited to one or two characters, not that every character has a very different way of looking at life.
Right.
So that way, it's truly an ensemble, right? And whether she mentions Zarina Vapkar, I'm saying in the team of Naxals that we are, the Dalam that it's called, Priyamani plays a very, very crucial role. Naveen Chandra plays a very crucial role. Her father plays a very crucial role. So it's characters that are really an ensemble where whoever says, the story really moves from there on. So it's less of hero will come do this, heroine will come do this, but here this is the larger construct of things.
Right. Now, at various points, for some reason, this has gotten the label of an indie film or an art film or something like that. I've read that in a bunch of places, write-ups. I don't know that, I mean, it doesn't certainly look like that, but why do you think that tag happened?
Well, from the first time I've been doing films, I kept calling it art film. So Leader was called an art film, Ghazi was called an art film.
Ghazi was called an art
Yeah,
film?
yeah, because I never saw that film before. Right?
Okay.
So actually, anything that you don't see which is not in your regular commercial realm,
It becomes art film.
it's art form because there's no other, you don't know any other way to tell it. So that's probably the reason, but it's as commercial as hell in that sense, where it's true to all of these emotions that you see in regular cinema. It's a love story which is more commercial than anything that you've seen. So the concept of commercial keeps changing over time.
Right.
Right. So 12 years ago, when I became an actor, doing cinema without a song was a problem. Me being this large and not doing an action sequence in my first film was an issue. And that was termed art form. He is trying to do an art film, but it became mainstream and I became as mainstream.
Right.
So I think it's over time now today you see main big stars doing films without songs.
Right.
Right. So I think over time things will change. I just step in early.
Do you have those characterizations, like for example, when you do let's say Paava Kadai Girl, which is this, for me it's fairly mainstream, do you kind of put it in a bucket and say this is arty or this is, I'm not talking about that particular film, but
I have a thing for indie films. I have a huge love for films which are a little offbeat and which you don't see on a normal day. So I think I had a desire.
Like maybe Care of Kanchara Pallam or something
yes.
like that? Okay.
So, but you know that you're going to connect to this film, but maybe we think it isn't commercial because we believe that, okay, the emotions might not be as heightened as you might want it to be.
Right.
The subtle expressions might be just subtle and not come through, but that works with me as a person myself. I'm not talking for the masses, but I've always enjoyed such films. And when I read Virata Parvam, it had the soul of a film which is very simple but very true, but built on a world that is beyond, larger than life, which you're unaware of. So I think it is a mix of both. And when we have technicians like Danny and Divakar, and the music director Suresh Bobili, they've made the film look very different and sound so different that I think it's going to be a new experience, and we can't put it inside a box saying it is either commercial or indie. It is a very different experience. I need to.
Right. Rana, you're an entrepreneur and you're a doctor. Like, I'm just, this fictional world, I'm imagining, do you go to him for business advice, and do you like ever go to her when you have a
for
headache?
medical advice.
Did
Yeah,
you,
that's
did
for
you,
sure.
We did.
yeah, did you have a headache on the sets and you
Medical,
kind of,
yeah, there was times.
Yeah, you did? She
"Hey,
managed
listen,
to
this is
put
what's
to
happening. What do I do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we would
So that-
discuss and about his.
She doesn't
skills.
have like a entrepreneur. She's not a
No,
money person.
my-
She's just an
no,
art
no, no,
student.
yeah.
Type.
No, but it's nice to know what he has in mind for cinema. When he talks to me about how he looks at a film and what he can do with it and how he can market a film. So there were times when I would ask him, see, people might think that we're propagating stuff and all that. He said, no, I'll use that as a marketing. You should do that. It is, we are
Your
not
voice
doing
dipped
that.
just a bit there.
Huh?
Your voice dipped just a
It
bit.
did.
Yeah, so people will think we are dating. So I was like, okay, it's a hypothetical
no.
situation, right?
No, because sometimes you worry. See, people misunderstand just from a topic which is spoken. Maybe when they watch the film, they'll know it is harmless and we're not promoting something which right now is not very necessary. Maybe, but when they start thinking this way, and then I being the person I am, think, oh, will it affect the film? What are we going to do? Then he said, no, we'll use it as a marketing strategy. And the way he thinks also about films and cinema is not just is not a very selfish thing for himself. He thinks for the whole, say, if it's going to be Telugu cinema he's representing, he'll make sure that the best work comes out there.
Right.
So that's something that I saw in him and I admire. And
Yeah, so things like economies of scale, those are always something that you have in mind while you mount a project?
Not for every film. Depends if that film's functionality is that.
Right.
Bahubali's functionality was there. So it was important for us to find a way to land it in different parts of the country.
Right.
Find the right people to land it. We made such an awesome film. So the job was to how do we
Get it out.
get it out there. Economies of scale, man. Now for this film, a lot of people keep asking me, you're an actor across languages, why don't you make this a pan-Indian film? Now, it's a story that happened in this land. Some need to be told for a certain region, and I think it also uses poetry, which is Telugu based. Now, I don't know if I can get that in Tamil again, I don't know if I can.
Right.
So I think each film you have something else to think about, and whatever that film's functionality is, you got to find the best way to go right till the end.
Since you can use everything, in your disposal to market a movie, here is a very popular actress in Tamil and Telugu and other languages. Wouldn't it be just an easy thing to dub the film into? I know you said the poetry thing, but
Yeah.
otherwise, wouldn't it just be a natural?
We will of course dub it in all languages now with post theatrical. They continue to be
Post
everywhere.
theatrical, yes, but I'm talking about like even while you release it.
I don't know. See, the exercise of this film has been very, very different in terms of ethic.
Right.
It's a very real story happening out of this place. So all the energy that we just wanted to use to make sure Telugu really comes out, and that was the focus of even doing it in the first place.
Right.
It's easy. I mean, you can dub it in all languages. I can release it in all languages. There's no problem. There's her. There's me. It's popular enough. But I think it's the right place and the right time for a film. You got to just place it there.
Right.
Everything can't go on the same track.
What's running through your mind when he says we are popular enough?
I don't.
Do you think about popularity?
I actually don't, because it puts a lot of pressure on yourself, thinking that, oh, I need to do films to have this. Anytime.
No, your existing popularity.
I don't go around too much for me to experience that. It's either in the airports or when I meet people during events that I even realize that. I think that moment is too short for me to absorb all that love, and I put that energy only into picking good scripts. So I don't go with that tag around myself all the time. So it takes a lot of pressure off. I think.
Right. Both of you says when you read the script. So I'm assuming that you read the script as well as got a narration, or you're talking about the narration.
So there was actually I had a synopsis first, then I had a narration, and then the full draft.
Then the
read.
draft.
So so that was the.
And what about you?
I prefer reading. So Venu Garu just gave me a
Nice.
brief on the story, and I wanted to read it, and then we spoke. And yeah.
Okay. Is that something that you like to do for all your films?
Yeah, I do that for all my films except for Pava Kadaigal, where on the last day I kept asking.
You don't
so
have to
saying-
explain.
No, he just said, no, I need to come to the set to do it. So that was one film I blindly went in. And
That's
did
his
it.
process.
Yeah.
So what's your process in the sense of, like, apart from maybe reading something about the the movement and the time and things like that. Did you do anything special to kind of get into these characters, or was it just like the emotion in the script just made you do things?
I think it's the latter. The honesty in the script was so much that I did not want to pollute it with whatever knowledge I can get from, say, media or whatever, because it was written by a director who was present and who took incidents and events from real life people, and who better than him to tell me what happened.
So he lived through that world. He was in that time when these problems were there. He's from those villages. He was in those towns, moved around with the same kind of people. So the detailing of the world came to me very, very nicely. Detailing of the world, the people, how they live, and that's usually very hard to find, because I'm saying, whether it's moments of Naxals and others, you've read it in news randomly, you only hear of a highlighted event, but not really their life and culture in whatever forms. I think that's, again, full due credit to Venu for actually taking us into the world, making us speak the way we speak, all of those things. I think it's,
and it'll be
his world.
And maybe a bit of body language as well?
Yeah, for sure. See, because these are characters
the reason I
that are
ask
very
is,
different.
sorry to interrupt, but because you're both fairly like urban, right? In the sense of
Very,
like,
I'm very urban.
Yeah. He is, right? So
That's my problem. But no, but ultimately it's the director who
it's not a problem, it is who you are.
yeah, it's who you are. So I'm saying, for me, the whole fun of being an actor is the fact that I can go into another life and,
Right.
and live it
But
happily.
the conviction is like to get that conviction across to an audience is like if you're doing this, you're probably not going to do it. So like, did a bit of work go into shaping how you maybe walk or talk?
all of that. I'm saying it again stems from the detail of that character. Now, if you're an Naxal leader who, I'll just give you a 2-minute piece of what Ravana is. He was an MBBS doctor who studied, liked literature and art, understood social problems, went on to start writing poetry and others, and eventually became a leader in the Naxal movement, right? I'm saying that's him. So it's a long journey that he kind of lived through. And so there is a sense of innocence, but there is a sense of definitive action.
Yeah.
And there is a motive, and so you're almost just going in that direction and doing nothing else. Somebody who's lost all connections with personal life, somebody who's lost the understanding of being able to be human to human in that sense, and all that comes back when the girl comes into his life. So that's the piece, and I think Venu was able to give us the right ways of moving and talking.
I believe that in scripts like this, it's important for us. I think I can speak for him because I saw the process. All the director had to do is just talk to you, and once you take the character into your head, I think the way you talk and the way you walk and the way you behave becomes a very natural trait.
Right.
It's how much that you feed in here that makes your body move. In that way, I think as actors we're trained to put the chip in there, and then your body starts behaving. He behaves like a Naxal and I behave like a proper villager. On a normal day, my mom will be surprised, thinking, hey, just squatting and sitting and like washing vessels and doing all that. And it is a very ordinary thing. I don't think we need to put a lot of pressure into physically doing things, because when you're mentally fixed on a character and you're deeply into it, I think it comes off naturally. And I saw that on day one, when he just walked inside as Ravana. 2 seconds ago, he would have had some cool jacket on and he would have been like, hey, Pallavi. But when he walked out, he had that voice and he's like, and all that.
You're totally like going to make me imagine that cool jacket. Okay, which of these scenes have the cool jacket? It's kind of, Now imagine a hypothetical question. Now imagine like you were like Ravana and you had the power to change the world. What would you change? What would you change?
Wow, so many things.
Yeah, but just pick one that's close to your heart.
You want to go?
Well, our job is to make newer and diverse cinema, so we're doing our job.
Come on.
That's the job.
Yeah.
That's the power that I've got, and I use it. There's actually a lot of people in my office who keep saying that I'm like a communist in the movies, where I'm constantly trying to outbeat what the natural norm is and make a story that's different. So I think whichever world you belong to, there is a certain belief that you will have, a certain righteousness saying this is what is needed to be done, whether it's right or wrong, you keep doing it.
And you?
This is an incident, and we has had one. Yesterday when I was waiting in one of the junctions over here, we were stuck for a while in traffic, and there was this girl who was trying to cross with her family. She was trying to cross. She must be around 12, 13 years. And I saw them waiting for a while, and bikes kept passing by, and at one point one guy and two boys were there. The guy who was sitting behind, he touched her in an inappropriate way, and he just went off. And he was like coolly doing that, and he went. And this girl was baffled. For a second, she didn't know what it was, and the parents were still looking that way to see if there was incoming traffic. I saw the whole thing happen in front of my eyes, and for a second, I just realized that girl hasn't even fully developed. She is not even a woman yet for her to understand. She was just shocked to see, and she knew she felt uncomfortable. She's in a public space, and I remember being so furious, and I took my phone to take a picture of the bike. He went off, and I thought I'll call for cops and ask them to hold him. I remember, grey shirt fellow, if he's watching it, I think you were very bad yesterday. And I think people forget that they can just do something and get away with it. They can say something and get away with it. I think we need to start behaving like human beings and not because I know that the girl's going to be scared and she's going to be conscious from the next time. It's always going to run in her head, who is going to grab me, what's going to happen. I haven't seen one woman who hasn't been touched who hasn't been touched the right way, not the other way, when you have people trusting you around. Her parents were right there, and this happened right in front of my eyes, and none of us could do something, and that guy must have just gone to another street, maybe done something like this. But it bothers me to an extent where the whole day yesterday I was just looking for the grey shirt wherever I went. So I wish there's a time where people, I don't know if it'll go reach them, but I just wish people knew not to make other people's lives miserable through their actions or through their words. If you just stay to yourself or just leave.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. And actually, but relating to this, your profession, you know, if you had been a method actor, the natural thing for me to ask you would be, are you going to file this little thing away and pull it out when the next time you have to feel rage on screen? But that's not how you work, right?
I think I have a lot of experiences like this.
Right, no, not this particular thing, but you know, like something happens in the world and you file it away and then you pick it up to kind of, that's not how you...
I don't have a proper method in which I might approach each role. It might differ. There might be a time when, for example, when I did Kali, I remember how my father and mother would fight. So I just went on and I was loud and I threw things, and not that happened at home, but yeah, it did.
Nice save.
No, it did. I think
nice save, but yeah.
So I know few things that I'm unaware of. I pick from there, and even Pavakadegal, you know, you imagine that you're a pregnant woman and you walk around in the same speed. So there I imagined, I've seen people walk a certain way, and I think it helps. In such places which I haven't experienced, I try to look for help from outside, but most of the time it's just from within.
Right. Writing poetry or writing itself is a very internal thing, right? And movies are terrible at showing internal processes. It's a very external medium. How has the director shown, I'm curious to see, because you place such an emphasis on the poetry, how has the director you know, shown it like
so
that?
Two things. This poetry's function was not about internal.
Okay.
This poetry's function was revolution.
Right.
It was
so it wasn't the writing itself.
It wasn't the writing itself. Was to raise consciousness, social consciousness, right? So there's a certain upbeat to writing it itself. So again, like you asked, it's not an internal poetry writing. It is external to make sure people are moved with it.
Right.
And in the way one such person is moved is Vanilla in the fact.
Which director changed your idea of a performance?
It's funny is I feel like I learned acting after I became an actor a while. The function of getting in was different, but somewhere between Rajmouli and Teja were really instrumental in changing me as an actor. And somebody that's very key is also Prabhu Solomon, because he just made me somebody else that I wasn't. Like I look back at that film and I was like, who is this guy? Like I have no semblance to what it is. So I think the three of them, for sure.
And you?
I can't pick one director.
I know. I'm sure there are many, but something that instinctively made you realize, oh my God, this is what my job is.
Genesis happened, or for me to even sink into the industry and feel that I belong here and all of that, and feel confident about myself. I think it started off from Premam. So Alphonse, Alphonse played a major role in making me feel comfortable. Otherwise, you will know that I'm uncomfortable when I do scenes, and so I'll say that he was the one who laid the strong foundation. From there, I give it to Shekhar Garu and director Vettamaran.
So when you look back at Premam today, have you seen it recently?
No, I haven't. But I
Have you
did-
ever seen it? Like again?
I did. My granny watches it very often, and she feels very happy when she watches Premam. So she watches it often, and I.
Right. So when you
glance.
see yourself, what is it like? What, like, out of 10, what do you say? Like, okay, I'm really good. I'm 10 on 10. You know, do you say that?
I'm embarrassed because I know every thought that went in when I did those expressions.
So it's very X-ray kind of process.
No, imagine if I'm sitting here and Alphonse is like, focus, and I'm thinking, what do I focus on? So you get it, right? Focus means just don't move so that the camera gets the focus. So I was that naive. I had no idea.
Right.
And I know how I felt when I did those scenes. So I feel very embarrassed, flushed when I see them.
But when you see, let's say, Pava Kathegal, you feel a little better?
Yeah, I feel better. I think I feel better.
And you've seen Virata Parvam, I'm assuming.
Yes,
And
I did.
What is
It's the top of that list.
Sorry?
It'll be the top of
Top
that
of the list?
for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
I'm glad that I could play a character which had a lot of, you have this internal conflict. You come from a land which believes a certain thing. Your father teaches you something, your mother teaches you something. You're from a society that you think is something, but you put that in a different path which is dangerous, and you go to another place, and how you use that to be the core of how you function around that place was important. For example, I come from a home where you look at people as equals, and you pray a lot, and you don't want to hurt them. I am still the same person, but in a different environment where you don't know whether what the person that you are might put you in trouble, or it might make you comfortable. So this is like actual, and it's beautiful because it's a real thing that he's written. And normally you don't have films which have so much time or space to show that growth and the turmoil that the girl feels and what
The character.
through. Yeah.
How do you handle it when a film that you give heart and soul to kind of doesn't do too well?
Oh, for me, failure has been the greatest teacher. Like, success is a lousy teacher like that. Then you just feel like you're the king of the world and you keep moving on.
Rana, you can't be like a motivational book. I want your true feelings.
No, it's 100% true.
Yeah.
See, because I grew up in a studio.
Right.
I was living in an editing room from my 5th grade.
Right.
So I saw how films happen, right? So it's, we're pretty honest with where it is. In the edit, okay, now this is what's going to happen. Okay, it works here, does not work here. Do we have time to reshoot it? Let's go back and reshoot it, or get the final thing done. So when you're extremely honest with it, there is very rare what the result has been different from what we've thought. It's pretty much the same 80% of the time, or 90% of the time, at least in my life.
So you're kind of prepared for it.
You're kind of prepared for, here you go, okay, maybe this is what it is. But then there'll be those last few days of hope and emotion where things will all change, which will be a little bit, your chemical balance will go here and there. But then the minute that weekend's done, and again, it's a distribution office, they'll tell you this theatre, it made this many rupees. So it's all very clear to you. Like, and the numbers are broken down to me far more than they come to anybody else, right?
Right.
So the reality of it is very clear. And what one must do after that is a bigger learning for my next. See, because at least a large part of my filmography has been films that nobody does.
Right.
Like literally nobody does that.
And I would say even Bahubali is in that list.
Is
Yeah.
100%.
Because it's like such a
it's
one
that's
of
what
a
I'm
kind,
saying.
yeah.
Most of that is, so you're first finding a new format for yourself. You're experimenting on some format. Your understanding gets better and better. See, it's how you can tell, like people call it art house, but few years later it becomes so mainstream,
Yeah.
and then that becomes mainstream cinema, right? So I think the first few guys who are doing the job will always be at that point, and I think that's the real beauty of us learning, right? Now, I made a film in 2005, produced a film called Belly Full of Dreams.
Yeah.
It's called Bommalata. Now it's
It won a national award.
Yeah, it won a national award. It won 2 national awards, but it didn't get a theatre to release because it was too art house. But many years later, I could present Kanchar Palam, which was in that similar world.
Right.
I could make today I can make a big film like Virata Parvam, which has mainstream casts and leads that are all alternative, but I'm finding a mainstream voice to get these stories out.
Right.
So failures will happen in the process.
Are you as philosophical, or are you going to be a little
No,
emotional?
it gets to me.
Huh?
It gets to me. It is actually even more painful when you've read a script that you believe in, but when you watch it, it doesn't come across
Match
that
what
way.
you you thought in your head?
Sometimes, over time, I'm not there all the time when we shoot. So sometimes when things get changed and it has a very different flavor to the film altogether, you feel a little, oh, okay, what is this? This is not what I saw. So when that happens, and then when things go off, I think it gets to me. But when you when I films like say Virata Parvam and Sham Singhara and all these other ones that I've done in the recent past, I think there came a time when I realized happiness and say a success and failure, it stays only for a while. It stays with me only for a week. I feel bad, but always the next thing that I'll think after that week is, okay, so which is the next script that I'm going to choose that's going to be good. So, so that is the answer. It does get to me, but I think both success and failure stays within me only for a while.
Right.
Except for one film, but
which is
one film, I'm not gonna say anything. But that one.
What happened to like honesty and all that kind of stuff?
I think so much is enough. I've already been told
So much is enough. That's all honest we're going to be.
Only so much.
When you were talking about the honesty in your performance and this and that and all
no,
that.
it puts me in a lot of trouble. I've heard, so I'd rather.
Kidding. So, are you going to text him and ask him what are the numbers from all the theaters?
Theatre,
For Virata Parvam?
No, but
because he was just talking about, you know, the numbers
he
that
will,
come from
but
it.
I don't know whether I want to know all of that. I might just call him and ask and say, are we safe? Are we okay?
I
Are
just
we
get
fine?
things in unnecessary detail.
So you give her
from
the
childhood.
gist.
So
Yeah, he'll just wrap it up for me and present it. I think that's enough for me.
That's enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Finally, what's next for both of you?
You start, I start.
I'm doing a film with Shivkarthikeyan
Shivkarthikeyan,
Raj
yeah.
Kumar Perisamy, so that's the Tamil one that I'm doing next. And my Tamil film Gargi is releasing very soon, so I'm very excited about that.
Right.
That's all for now.
That's it for now.
Yeah.
So you commit to like, what is it, like a film at a time?
I think so. That's how it's been. Except for post-COVID, we did Sham Singh Rai
Just
Love
everything
Story
got confused
and
in.
Yeah.
everything,
Everything
at
at
the
once,
same
I
time.
guess.
But now I think that's how it comes my way. It's not a very conscious choice, but somehow I fix my heart on one, and it so happens.
Nice. And
Me, so I think the last 1-2 years is pandemic. I've just been experimenting with too many things. So it's been 2 films and a show, and I assumed time stopped. But
right.
now I'm just going to take
You're
off.
talking about the Ray Donovan adaptation.
Yeah, so I finished a series with Netflix. I've finished an remake, which is Ayyappan Koshi. I played Daniel Shekhar with Kalyan Garu. Then Virata Parvam. Now I'm just going to sit, chill, build my body, and do some unreal action in the next round. So I'm just working on. In fact, like just before we started, I kind of put those on hold because I had some other issues with health and all of that. So getting back to that massive size breaking walls wasn't the best thing that the doctor suggested.
Is there a bull here as well?
There will be a lot more
Okay.
than bulls.
Okay.
So I have, so now my next will be a while. It'll just be a different guy coming out.
Nice. Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rana and Lady Power Star. Thank you so much. I love that. I love
Lady
saying
Power
that.
Star.
So,
See, I got to go.
I'm
I got
glad
to work with 2 power stars
Yeah.
in this experimenting.
yeah.
round.
Oh,
And
God.
Well done.
I read it in the newspapers and I was like, oh my God, I just have to use this. It's just like
It
so.
was awesome. It's cool. I like this
This
too
is what
much.
I go through. You're ragging me. Come on. Just
No,
throw
no,
me
no.
a bone here.
No, but
Not
sincerely,
this.
all the very best. I do think you are like a star. So,
Thank
you know, so.
Thank you very
I
much.
thought-
You're
I
Big
think-
fan of your works.
I think it's also time that many more stars that are women-led need to come in.
Yeah.
This was a conscious effort. Forget me as an actor in this film, but as a producer of this film, I think it's a conscious effort to make sure there's at some point equal number of women stars as men are in the movies.
Yeah.
And here you go. This is step 1 for us.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like it's amazing time to be like, you know, because you get scripts that are
Yeah.
not just, you know, like earlier, which are where the women have a powerful role, but it's also very much male centric. But it's like now it's like, you know, it's
Now
both ways.
yes,
So
now
yeah.
both ways. You have film. In fact, for us, in the last couple of years, the first film that we actually saw real success was with Oh Baby,
Yeah,
with Samantha in the lead. Then Virata Parvam is a film that we chose to make after that. We also have a film with Nivea Thomas and Regina. That's out. It's Midnight Runners. It's an adaptation of a Korean film. So there's enough of films that are coming out of the stable, and I hope there's many more to come.
And I also believe that, you know, once, for example, Meryl Streep and if Neena Gupta ji and all of them, you know, you write scripts for which doesn't involve an age bar or anything. Scripts which are interesting, which I think people love to watch them. It's just not that you need to write them for a particular age and the stardom is what right now defines. I think all of us are going to stay as actors forever. That's how you'll be remembered. So scripts are.
yeah, and I also think it has to do with a very like, because so far it was a very, very male centric kind of thing where women, like if you bought maybe you're too young to remember this, but you know, when you look at a magazine like Cine Blitz or something like that, always they would have a like a pull out of an act like an actress, and like she'd be posing in a very sultry way or something like that. So there was never the performance or the, you know, was never really like a part of the thing. It's like, oh my God, this is she's so like there's so much oomph in her personality, and that was the main thing that was like factored in. And probably, you know, that's what the heroines thought as well, that this is
Maybe now it's changed.
it's changed a lot, because you don't find those you know, those posters anymore. So that's a good sign. Instead you find very revolutionary things around you. So thank you for the location and the interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.